I have always been a believer in the sense that I've always had the third eye. Most people who have never experienced anything themselves have always experienced it when they were with me. Hi, my name is Utt.
My name is Raihan.
My name is Wayne.
My name is Kyle.
And this is Tales from Incredible Tales.
Together with some very special guests, we are taking a look back at Incredible Tales, a horror anthology that aired on Channel 5 from 2004 to 2017. We'll also ask our guests to share their very own special scary stories.
For this first episode, we're joined by none other than Utt, the host of Incredible Tales throughout its 13 years. Utt, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing really well. I love the number 13.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How appropriate.
Utt is one of the longest VJs on MTV Asia, hosting shows like MTV Asia Hit List, MTV Most Wanted, and Bangkok Jam from the late 90s to the early 2000s.
So in every episode of Tales from Incredible Tales, we'll explore a different theme and how it ties to some of the classic Incredible Tales episodes.
Now, for this episode, we're looking at Singapore's most haunted locations. This episode's theme was inspired by Third Door and Bukit Timah campus, both from season 1. Third Door tells the story of probably the most famous urban legend among the men who serve national service. A mysterious death of a recruit prompts a series of events that cause a particular bunk in an army camp to put up a third door. In Bukit Timah campus, a visiting university student from Japan on an exchange program gets assigned to a room. Later, he finds out in that very same room, his long-lost grandfather, a Japanese major in the Imperial Army, took his own life after Japan's defeat in World War II.
Yeah, so let's take a look at the episodes. The first video that we show was the third door one.
Third door, yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember filming those episodes?
We had so many seasons that it actually brought me back watching that first season, how it was so new for me and was new for the whole crew and everything. And I look back and it's so classic. It's so classic to kind of delve back into those stories and everything. It has like a very nostalgic yet very, it's like it feels very creepy as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Third Door was based on a widely spread urban legend. Bukit Timah campus was based on a story by Singaporean literary pioneer Goh Sin Tap. But do you think there's some truth in those fiction?
I can honestly say now, after 13 years, that I do feel there is truth in the fiction. I couldn't have said that before. Yeah. I've had 13 years of being on location, being with the stories. So I am sort of a believer in some of the truth in the fiction.
So have you had any experiences while being at those locations?
I recall just being uneasy. Every time we're setting up, because Singapore is such a mecca of different cultures and religions, so the team, the crew, everyone's praying to their gods. And what makes it so beautiful is that then we come together to shoot. Yeah. So I don't recall any particular situation, but just an uneasiness being in that environment.
Every time? Or just that one time?
Almost every time, but the uneasiness kind of, the extremities of the feelings kind of tend to, depending on where. I think I would give it a scale to maybe like 5 or 6. Yeah.
Did you ever have anything higher than like a 7?
I do. But once we get to that particular episode,
Okay, all right.
I'll be reminded.
So you have that one episode in your mind?
I do.
Okay.
Because this is kind of like a time capsule going back through to all the different episodes and stories. I might be reminded by something that I might have remembered during that time.
For season 1, right, it's your first time going into a horror show, right? I would presume.
Yes.
So how did young Utt at that point felt like, oh, I'm doing a horror show?
It's interesting hearing my own voice because I hear a young Utt narrating the story. It was very interesting for me because for so many different reasons. Like one, having just moved to Singapore at that time. I'm used to hearing stories back in Thailand, but being able to hear stories beyond Thailand and all these different stories in Singapore was just so amazing for me.
Were you a believer at that point of time when you first stepped into this scene?
I have always been a believer in the sense that I've always had the third eye. Yeah, but I never fully shared that during the time I was doing the show because the producers at the time wanted to keep the host very generic in his thoughts.
Understand.
You know, whether it's a figment of your imagination or whether there's truth to it.
That's why there's always the psychologist
Yeah.
to balance out the narrative.
I like how they wanted to keep it very neutral,
Very neutral.
And then they got the guy with the third eye.
Exactly.
So if you see things on set, you just keep quiet.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Or I share it with the crew. I mean,
Wouldn't that freak them out?
well, I mean, like, because we would have breaks and everything. So yeah, we would just sit back and talk about things or like, did you hear that or see that? Or sometimes we don't even say anything. Maybe like the next day before we set up.
If you see anything around here, could you save it for like maybe the last day before you tell us?
I'm just gonna keep messing with
Looking
Wayne.
around.
There's someone behind you.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I just want to touch on the topic of third door because we were speaking about it. So, do we still have it these days around our premises?
Okay, so I mean to set context, right? Third door for it's kind of like a feng shui thing in Asian culture. Basically, if somebody passes away in a certain like premises, then to release the spirit, you usually construct a third door to basically like a ethereal door. But you don't use that door to release the spirit, third door.
That's the purpose of the third door.
Yeah.
Because in the Malay context, we do have this saying where if someone passed away, you have to cover the mirrors with cloth.
Right.
I'm not sure whether that's true because there are some saying no, it's not true, but there are some people who believe that if you don't, things can come in and out through the mirror. So that's like a third door for us.
It's like a variation of a third.
It's quite similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think it goes back to what I shared about myself too. It's like for me to learn about the culture here through these stories, it's the same for the audience. When we tell these stories and it crosses to other countries like Malaysian, Indonesian, Thailand, we get a sense of these stories and the people through the stories, through this common link.
When you started filming Incredible Tales, was that like the first time that you've been in Singapore for an extended period of time?
When I moved over, it was because of MTV.
Right.
So I was doing music as a genre where I was hosting, and then this was complete opposite.
Yeah.
I mean, completely opposite of the music genre. So it was very interesting because I was doing something completely different, and then kind of jumping into the deep end. It wasn't like, slowly going into it. It's like, these stories just like smacked me right in the face. So, I came in and there's just so much going on in terms of like, being in Singapore, hosting music and then hosting this genre. Interestingly, I remember I did a casting to host and I guess like I was talking to Daisy Irani years later, and she's like, "It just had to be you," because like it's like kind of like when you get new shoes, it takes a while to warm up. So I think as a host, for me to warm up to the genre was probably the second, third season. So the first season was I was going into it like fresh, like an audience.
Yeah.
And there were critiques, his accent's off, he's too westernized. And then she's like, just give him time. And I thought that was so cool of her because eventually it warmed up. I got really comfortable with what I was doing.
I think we can kind of see it as well. Like, it's not like, and in that first season, it's not like, oh no, this is so strange. It was, you can kind of see like, you're really getting into the groove of things. And you're right, by that second season, I don't think, I see what she means because I can't imagine anybody else hosting that show.
Agree.
Even if you look through the seasons of like like my wardrobe or what I was wearing, it gets more comfortable each season, and I become more myself. Because I think the first season, I was wearing a blazer just like you.
Yeah.
You look like a psychologist today.
I am the expert here for today. You
Probably
guys
coming
are all
out
wrong.
with a theory or something like that. So-
And then after the first season, second season, we lost the blazer.
Yeah.
Because I just became more comfortable. Yeah.
I would like to pretend like I planned it so that, this is it matches what you were wearing that first season. I didn't actually plan it, but yeah.
So why do you think there are a lot of haunted places here in Singapore?
I think there are a lot of haunted places everywhere, like any country. Yeah. But in Singapore, because there's a lot of history. Yeah. There's so much stories because of how compact it is too. But I've been to many places and countries, so I feel there are as much stories abroad as well as there is in Singapore.
I'm sure.
But it goes back to like the recurring theme where it's like, because it's a Mecca, so you have like different types of stories all in one place. It's like it's a variety of different stories.
Yeah.
Because it's like in Thailand, it'd be just, usually the stories are just the same stories.
Yeah.
When I look through the scripts, I'm like, I'm so fascinated because I'm being introduced to something that's so different from what I already know.
Yeah.
Yes. Now you just mentioned that you went to St. John Island for one of your shoots. Am I right?
Yeah, this episode, yeah.
Yeah, and this is, and I'm pretty sure that place has a lot of stories on it. So, in particular, when you were there, anything happened not to you but the crew members?
I mean, there's an uneasiness. I would probably scale it more higher, like to an 8. So
For St. John?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Wow.
So that's how we're gonna do things now. The scale.
Okay.
We have the scale in place now.
I'm gonna name it right now, the Incredible Scale.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's interesting because when you reenact something, it's usually when these things happen more often.
Yeah.
Because you somewhat or rather calling them by to come over, and I'm pretty sure there's
When
the cruise.
when you give energy to the energy, then that creates the reason for the energy to present itself.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Psychologist.
You totally stole it because I was gonna go like, well, do you think it's a psychological thing? But then you jumped right in. Well done. You should be wearing the blazer here.
I think it's also like because they were humans once, right? So when as a human you see someone filming with cameras and you'll be curious. You're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, are they talking about me? I'm gonna check it out.
Yes. We even for my culture in Malay culture, we believe that don't call upon them.
Yeah.
If you don't want them to come over,
Don't acknowledge them, I guess.
don't acknowledge them because else they will just want to come by and pay you a visit.
I feel we are disturbing them when we're shooting.
Yeah.
Basically, we are invading. Like if you believe that the energies are real and spirits are real, when you're doing something at like a production like Incredible Tales, you are going into their space.
That's right.
That space usually it's either dormant or there's a lot of energies swirling around. But once you go into that space, then you're allowing things to kind of move, and whether that goes any which way, it's gonna move regardless. We're talking about my own experience as a host, but it would be really interesting if you sat down and talked to each crew member.
Yeah.
Because I remember through the years, just like sometimes like, during our breaks or like catching up, each person has a different experience.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, like you talked about how in that first season, everybody was like praying, they were doing their own prayers and everything. Now you're talking about like how, we're stepping into that space. Did you guys like ramp up any kind of protection or
Well, I think it goes
precautions?
back to like each person's like beliefs. And it wasn't like the first season that everyone's ramping up in, like, it was all the seasons.
Right.
Every time when we were, most of the time when we were on set, like, everyone has their own beliefs.
Yeah.
And so we're just paying respects into like places we're going into.
Nice.
I'm curious to know. You mentioned that all crews they say their own prayers. Do you also have like a priest following you to certain
No, we
places?
don't.
It was just the crew alone. Oh, that's
No, I think it's more like a personal thing.
Personal.
It wasn't like something that we did collectively.
Okay.
But I think the crew, like at certain places, like certain haunted places, we would, particularly, we would have the incense.
Yeah.
So they will always pray
Yeah.
beforehand, which we did
Yeah,
yesterday.
yeah.
So the set is blessed. I hope so.
I'm having goosebumps.
Actually, this is tamed. Like if there's like another season, I'm gonna take you guys like on location.
Okay.
Yeah.
On location, you
But
guys hear it, huh?
You heard it here.
Yeah.
We're gonna up the stakes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So one of the bets that Wayne and I have with our followers is that we actually reach a certain amount and then we promise that our viewers that we will do a live podcast recording in a cemetery.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, he's not a fan. He's definitely not. But I told him I'll make it safe. I will get a spiritual master. He'll be
Okay.
like a metal detector. Okay.
I-
You can go home. This one cannot go home.
I'm inviting you because clearly you're interested as well. But I'm also inviting you because, hey, if there's more people down there, I'll feel a little bit better.
I think the set will have like 20 people. So
Yeah.
you should be fine. Should be.
Yeah. And Wayne, this thing behind you will probably be moving in the real thing.
Have you all noticed that I've not once turned around yet? Just to...
All right, so this is a question for all of you. If you were to be given $1 million, would you stay in the most haunted place in Singapore?
I'm a horror guy. So I feel like $1 million one night, easy. Okay, if I was alone, then I will have to think twice. But if I was not alone, I share the money, then maybe it will be an easy yes.
Hey Kyle, let's go together.
Okay, let's
All
go.
right. Okay, it's a deal. Yeah.
I'm a bit afraid to go with Art because I will be like, Carl, don't stand here. Don't stand here. Carl, don't stand here.
He's changing his mind.
I think so too.
You're seeing where the line is
You where the
drawn.
line is,
No,
right?
because I have friends who also have the gift, and it's very stressful for the friend also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's more stressful for yourself because you have seen it.
Yeah.
You don't want to mention it.
Yes and no. I think I went through phases where I felt I was the only one who was experiencing it. This situation happens with me often where people hear stories from me and they always hear all my tales and stuff, my own incredible tales, away from incredible tales. And most people who have never experienced anything themselves have always experienced it when they were with me.
Wow.
So in a way, it's made me happy because then I'm like, it reiterates that I'm not the only one who's going crazy. Because I think I went through a period of that.
Mm.
And then I lose a lot of friendships because of it too, because they
Yeah.
don't want to hang out with me anymore.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
dear.
okay. It's okay. I'll hang out with you. I'm used to it. Yeah.
Clearly. I was about to say, you're such a bad influence. Like, he's like, you're going to go, yeah, we're doing this.
No, okay, but back to the question.
Yeah.
Would you do it for $1 million?
Yeah, I'd do it for $1 million. Of course I would.
Alone.
Do it. I mean, like 13 years, like doing this Incredible Tales.
Alone,
I mean, It's a no-brainer. Alone, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I would. Because I think I have like I'm thinking like more with the money in terms of if I'm there alone, I would probably find a means to appease the spirits and with the money to see what it is that they need in that particular space, whether it's like an altar or like
So, bribe lah.
yeah. Basically, hey.
All prepared.
You spend like maybe 20% of the budget.
I love how strategic you are about this. You're like, all right, so here's how we'll split it up.
I think there is some that I guess there's some like good thing about being able to see because you can kind of communicate to it. But imagine if you're someone who is like a muggle. Like basically a muggle is like someone who has no sense, nothing to the spirit world. And then you're just like bumping into them, being
I agree.
disrespectful. Then the next thing you know, you gonna haunted.
Yeah. So, so it's interesting to hear. If I were to be given a choice of a $1 million, I will probably not because I will be.
Really?
I will hear someone talking to me. Now I'll hear someone. I'll feel someone touching me, but there will be nobody around me, and I don't think I want to experience that.
But you could do so much with $1 million. You can do so much good,
Yes.
right? You can take half of that and go in like.
Now they're bribing me.
Vibe continues.
So yes, that's the only way I'll do it.
Yeah. Well, that's a good deal.
I will be crying the whole night anyway. So yeah, that's
It's going to be a very long night.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right, this has been really great, guys. But before we go, we want to wrap every episode up with something a little weird, maybe a little dark, maybe sometimes even a bit gross. We want to have one morbid fact of the day for every episode. So this doesn't have to be about ghosts. It could be about anything. Kyle, you're going to be delivering this every episode.
Yeah.
What's our morbid fact of the day?
Okay, so you guys want to guess? It has to do with location. This episode's morbid fact.
Locations
Yeah.
in Singapore.
Yeah,
Yes.
haunted locations.
Haunted locations.
Is it something that you found there?
I mean, no, not really lah. Like, it's just a morbid fact. Okay. So one of the most haunted spots in Singapore, right, is actually Bedok Reservoir. So you know about that?
I've heard of it.
Yeah. You know, right?
I live near there previously.
I thought you were saying like, I live near that. No, okay. Yeah, so because Bedok Reservoir actually has a reputation of people taking their lives.
Yes.
I think at a certain point, it got so bad that they had to put up patrols around the reservoir.
Yeah.
So then according to some feng shui experts, because the shape of the reservoir actually represents a skull.
Oh.
And then the person, actually a couple of them predicted that it would take a few lives every year because of that location.
And yet the property prices are very high there.
This one bo pian one. Well, this one is like no choice. You don't have a choice. Even in Hong Kong, right? Like the property prices are so insane that people are willing to pay good dollars for houses with a reputation.
Oh, I
Meaning, like
believe
people
so.
died in the
Yeah.
houses and stuff.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's really morbid.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
That was perfect.
I tried to pick up a $2 note. I'm not very proud of it lah. It's not my brightest moment. I tried to pick up a $2 note during the Hungry Ghost Month
Oh.
at Bedok Reservoir. Yeah, I was a teenager. I was jogging with my sister. My sister always had a very strong sixth sense. She sometimes can see also. So we were just jogging, and it was like 5 p.m. And then I saw $2. I said, hey, $2. Then I wanted to reach my sister. Hey, stop it. You know where are we? I said, yeah, Bedok Reservoir. I said, then why you still want to take the $2? I said, it's $2. He said, no. Some more Hungry Ghost Man. No.
Right. All right. Thank you all for tuning in to Tales from Incredible Tales. New episodes goes up on every Thursday evening on YouTube and MeWatch, and on podcast platforms such as meLISTEN, Spotify, and as well as Apple Podcasts.
My name is Utt.
My name is Wayne.
My name is Kyle.
My name is Raihan. We'll see you next time.